But moving from there on, let's quickly shift focus to a Blue Star. If you can just pull up that counter on the screens and see what a Blue Star is doing in trade. A weak set of numbers that have been reported in spite of a growth of around 18% on the revenue front and a higher other income. If you go to see, the company has reported a loss of almost 1 crore versus a profit of around 13.5 crores coming in there. Now, what the management has indicated is that there has been a one-time expense of around 7.5 crores on Platinum Jubilee celebrations and a provision of around 14.5 crores that has been made towards the exposure in the JV in Oman, where they've decided to exit the JV as well. Let's welcome in the management here, Advani, Managing Director at Blue Star. Veer, welcome to the show. A strong growth coming in on the top line front. We do understand that the loss is on the back of the provision as well as the one-time expense. But the key question an investor or or a shareholder that needs to know right now is that what has been the requirement of spending that one-time expense of 7.5 crores towards a Platinum Jubilee celebration, because this is clearly probably a lower dividend also that could go out to the investors.
Sure. So good morning. Thank you for having me. Let me just, I'll answer that specific question and then go to the broader numbers. So it is our 75th year, and obviously we owe a lot of that to our customers, to our vendors, to our employees, and of course shareholders. So shareholders were rewarded earlier this year with a Platinum Jubilee dividend. Of course, we then had to follow that on with recognizing our customers, vendors and employees. So yes, it is a large expense, but I think having reached this milestone and looking forward to reaching a centenary, I think it will be a small drop in a larger ocean. So I'm sure that investors will understand that. Having said that, I think I'll take you back to the numbers, because while revenue growth has been strong, you did say 18%, actually both segment 1 and segment 2 have had strong revenue growth. We've had a lot of pressure on margins, and because of that we've had our EBITDA flat over Q3 of last year. So I'll just try to spend a minute on that. Gross margins are in fact under pressure for two different reasons. So in segment 1, which is our projects business, there is a little bit of margin reduction on account of input cost increases. However, as we keep telling everyone, you have to look at segment 1 on a YTD basis and not for the quarter, because quarterly numbers may move up and down on account of projects being closed or projects being billed. So at a YTD level, we are on track, and on a full year basis, we have been telling the investors that we'll be at about 4.5% to 5% operating margin in segment 1, and we should be there by the end of the year. Segment 2 is a little more concerning on a YTD basis as well as for the quarter. You can see sharper margin erosion, and that is still due to the poor summer. What happened is that large inventory was piled up in the industry, not just with us. You do also know that Q2 and Q3 are low quarters for the room air conditioner business because it is seasonal. So we've had to liquidate inventory to clear out for the new season that's starting right now. So we had to take some very tough pricing decisions. So aggressive pricing to liquidate stock is what has driven down the margins. Certainly we are not happy with the YTD results. We would have liked to do much better, but I would like to assure you going forward, Q4 is looking a lot more healthy. We have cleared out the old inventory, and we are expecting a normal summer coming up.
Right, so Q4 is going to be much better. But Veer, one question I want to take with you. You mentioned that you have given a dividend, a Silver Jubilee dividend to the investors as well as the shareholders as well. What has been the total outgo in the form of dividend that has been given in terms of the Silver Jubilee dividend?
So we had a normal dividend, and then we gave a 2 rupee Platinum Jubilee dividend on top of that, which was announced in earlier this year.
If you can just tell me the total quantum of outflow that went through.
I think that number isn't in front of me, but I think including tax it would have been approximately 100 crores. Including the entire amount, not just the Platinum Jubilee. So our normal dividend plus the Platinum would have been approximately 100 crores.
Okay. Apart from that, overall, with regards to where the Oman business is concerned, now you've made a provision of around 14 to 15 crores during the quarter, and because of unviable business probably scenario in Oman, you're looking to exit the JV as well. Apart from this 14.5 crores, is there any further provisioning that is expected?
Sure. So let me clarify. We had entered Oman 3.5 years ago, and we had a very good partner. We are very optimistic about the market. I think the market has been very dull on account of oil and the Middle East in general being in recession, which is one part of it. We've had cost overruns in a few projects that we inherited as part of the JV. Those have, projects are not closing, they're not ending, and therefore we've decided between the economic environment there as well as the projects that we have, it is probably better to focus our management attention in other markets. Of course, India is included. So we have decided to exit. Now, specifically your question on provisioning, with this provision of 14.5 crores, we would have provided the entire financial exposure that we have, and we do not expect any further provisions going forward. You've already seen some provisioning in Q1 and Q2, and with this Q3 we're done. So that's just to confirm the same.
Right. So will we be back in the black in the fourth quarter?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Of course. Definitely. I think this is a blip in our performance, and you'll see us recovering well in Q4. And I want to assure everyone that as far as our strategic objectives are concerned, we're very much staying with the plan. This is a bad year, no doubt about it, but no fundamental change in the market, no fundamental change in our competitive position. And therefore we're executing our 3-year plan as we had planned, and I think FY20 we'll be back on track with our long-term objectives, which we've often said is we want to grow our revenue at about 15 to 17%. We want to grow our profit at about 25%, and so we expect to be back to that in FY20.
Right. All right, Veer. Pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for sharing that update as well as in terms of the outlook for the coming quarters as well. So that's Veer Advani of Blue Star clearly indicating that a special dividend was also given with regards to where the Silver Jubilee celebration goes. But this is going to be very interesting because a spend of around 7 crores is what is actually left. The company reporting a loss of almost 1 crores. In fact, you are seeing a marginal recovery also as we speak to the management that's coming in on the stock as we speak, a 1.7% downtick now. From the day's lowest levels of 572, we've moved up to levels of around 583 as we speak to the management. But moving on, BTVi learns that market regulator SEBI has rejected Z Promoter's plea to remove